I once earned 620 naira per month as Unilag Law Lecturer. Osinbajo, welcome to the news, and please subscribe to our channel to be the first to get notified when we drop hot juicy news. Please click on the notification bell. Thank you. Speech delivered by His Excellency Prof. Yemi Osinbajo San, GCON, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, at the 53rd Conference of the National Association of Law Teachers themed Law, Democracy and the Electoral Process at Bayero University, Kano, BUK, on the 8th of February 2022. Protocols. Okay, this is actually a speech on this particular event that I just said. Sincerely, some people are not going to take this on. There's going to be a lot of arguments concerning this particular issue. I kid you not. There's going to be a lot of arguments. Let's dig in and let's see. Let's hear what he has to say. The news in detail. Please stay with us. Let me begin by thanking the executive of our association for the kind invitation to join you at this 53rd Law Teachers Conference. A Law Teachers Conference is always a homecoming for me. I started teaching at the Faculty of Law, University of Lagos in November 1981, and for many years attending the Law Teachers Conference was always special. First, because it was the only conference a university agreed to pay for us to attend. And that was a big deal since my salary was 620 naira a month. So I am pleased to be here. I am not here alone. I have here with me two lecturers who now work with me. Dr. Jumoke Oduwale, the special advisor to the president on the ease of doing business, who used to teach law of contracts, commercial law, and international economic law at the University of Lagos, and Dr. Barkisu Saidu, senior special assistant to the president on legal, research and compliance matters, who was associate professor of law at the Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, where she taught jurisprudence, Nigerian legal system, and Islamic family law. Though not here with me today, my chief of staff, who is the deputy chief of staff to the president, Dr. Rahman Adi Ipaye, is also a former law teacher. Your Excellencies, friends and colleagues, the place of a Law Teachers Conference is crucial. Let me paraphrase part of my comment at the 50th Anniversary Law Teachers Conference in 2018. Because we, law teachers, are the purveyors, custodians, and creators of the underlying concept and foundational premises of legal thought, and the thinkers for a system of law and justice, and the profession, our conference, has always been forum for the free and yet deep interrogation of the fundamental ideas and principles that hold society together. The trajectory of the rule of law and order, democratic practice, and their current interpretations and efficacy. So, our conference is a time to step back and reflect in order to come back to the problems with boldness and innovation. The theme for this conference, Law, Democracy, and the Electoral Process, is entirely appropriate, and not just because the national elections has come under the attack in the sub-region and on our continent in recent times. Since 2017, there have been 12 military coups in Africa, and half of them occurred since 2020. Last month, the democratically elected government of Burkina Faso was overthrown. Earlier, Mali and Guinea, while only last week, there was an attempted coup in Guinea-Bissau that was thankfully repelled. The recent spate of extra constitutional destruction of democratic governance in our region lent on added pregnancy and urgency to our reflection on law, democracy, and the electoral process. It is now 22 years since we put away the yoke of dictatorship and took up the reins of democracy. A generation of Nigerians have come of age that have known only civil rule and assume of right the power to choose their leaders. This is also the longest stretch of democratic governance in our history. We have witnessed a series of peaceful transition of power. There is a huge credit to the democratic sensibilities of our people. Along the way, we are learning valuable lessons that can make us better practitioners of liberty. We may be in the 22nd unbroken year as a democracy, but in the grand scheme of things, our country is still a young democracy. Many of our institutions are still in their infancy, and we must carefully guide them into maturity. We recognize that the price of liberty is internal vigilance. As one of the oldest democracies in the region that has long been plagued by autocratic and extra-constitutional regimes, democracy itself has now become part of our national exceptionalism. Our gallant armed forces are totally subordinated to civilian command authority and are fully committed to defending our constitutional order against internal and external threats. We have a relatively strong civil society that continues to push for greater accountability and the deepening of democratic practices. In keeping with our foreign policy tradition, ours has been a clear student voice for the promotion of democracy on the continent and have been resolute in condemning extra-constitutional seizures of power. Historically, we have worked to restore and preserve democracy in places such as Liberia, Sierra Leone, and the Gambia. At the same time, the events now happening beyond our borders impose a burden on us to exemplify the highest manifestation of democracy at home so that we can be more credibly promote it abroad. In 2015, we made history when an opposition party defeated the ruling party in a national election and a peaceful transition of power followed. In so doing, we voted over a hurdle that we have fallen at in previous attempts at democratic governance. Since then, we have seen more and more elections at the subnational level feature transitions between parties. Certainly, we have witnessed electoral contests in which mere membership of a ruling party is not a guarantee of victory. These are the signs of our growth as a democracy. There remains, of course, much room for improvement. But the overarching of our foundational issue is democracy. The notion of a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, and its crucial implications. Law and the electoral process must work for the government of the most democratic outcomes. Legal or electoral processes must enhance and not defeat democracy. Central to democracy is the will of the electorate, demonstrated by voting for candidates of their choice. That right is so central to democracy that it must be protected by electoral laws and judicial interpretation in electoral cases. This means that electoral justice must not be for candidates alone. Indeed, the principal players, the electorates, must be front and center of judicial reflection on how to determine electoral cases. The judiciary must be wary of substituting their will for the will of the electorate. They must seek every interpretation that leaves the people with a choice of who they prefer. Okay, all this is sounding good, sincerely, but I just wish that I'll put it into action. Okay, on this note, we have come to the end of the news. We say thank you for tuning in to listen. Until I come your way next time, enjoy the rest of your day.